welcome Hoosier Nation to the first ever episode of The Rude Awakening, a segment of the Hoosier Sound podcast recorded on Friday, December 27, 2019. I am your host, Andrew Rude, and I am here to provide my thoughts, comments, and rants about anything in Indiana athletics. Today's show will include Indiana blowing a 17-point lead in the Crossroads Classic. We'll also discuss the Hoosier season thus far. And then finally, we'll end it with a little Arkansas Razorback preview as the Hoosiers are back in action Sunday night. Now, wind the clocks back to last Saturday. The Hoosiers had a noon tip-off against Notre Dame in the 2019 Crossroads Classic. And for the most part, this game was a blowout. It really was. Indiana jumped out to a big lead early on. They had an 11-point lead at the halftime break. And they did it by doing what they did against Florida State. They brought the intensity to start the game on defense, forcing Notre Dame to take some bad shots. And then they got the ball going inside with Trace Jackson-Davis, Joey Brunk, imposing their will against Notre Dame. And that really built up the lead for them. And then even in the second half, the Hoosiers jumped out to a 17-point lead. But then after that, Indiana just looked all out of sorts on both sides of the floor. Guys were forcing shots on the offensive side. Notre Dame took advantage in transition, getting some wide-open threes, getting some quick mid-range jump shots, really putting Indiana back on their heels. Multiple timeouts were called, media timeouts, and then Indiana just never really responded after that point. Notre Dame took the lead by 5, and then it took a freshman off the bench to finally get the Hoosiers going. Freshman Armon Franklin went in, hit big three-point jump shots with a few minutes remaining in the game. His final one was a one in the corner with 15 seconds left, giving the Hoosiers the victory. But we're really going to talk about how Indiana blew that 17-point lead, because that's something that you should never do in college basketball. I know everybody's going to say, yeah, that's a given, Andrew. We all know that. But if Indiana wants to be a good team, they cannot do that. Absolutely not. They kept their lead against Florida State a few weeks back, but then after that, you take a look at the schedule, every game since has been close. You beat Florida State handily, then you go on the road to Wisconsin, get demolished in a place you never really win. Okay, give you that. But you still shouldn't get beat by 20 points like that, no matter who you're playing, if you're trying to be like Indiana and get to the tournament. Then had a tough game against UConn, Madison Square Garden, Jamie V Classic. They gutted that one out to win by 3. And then against Nebraska at home, they jumped out to an 11-2 lead early on. They blew that lead and had to go to overtime against the Cornhuskers, who were down one of their best players. And then again against Notre Dame, they get out to a big lead and blow it once again. So I felt the problem against Notre Dame. I felt the offense was too stagnant. I said earlier, guys were forcing shots. I felt Justin Smith was taking too many faders, not going inside like he should, using his size and aggressiveness. Devontae Green, yes, he's Indiana's leading scorer. I feel like he's too fancy with the ball sometimes. That's just me. It works for him, though. He gets good looks whenever he can. He can bail you out. Late shot clock situation. I'm pretty sure Archie doesn't like that, though, having to rely on a late second heave to get a bucket. But then you look at Indiana's depth. Like they said, 11-man roster, 11-man depth. Guys like Deron Davis, Rob Finney coming back, limited practice, Race Thompson. You look at the box score in this game, and for the most part, those guys didn't really show. You had sorry about that. You had Armon Franklin lead the way off the bench as a freshman. He had 17 points in 14 minutes of action, shot 4 or 5 from the three-point line. Take a look at your starting 5. You have Joey Brunk, 9 points, but had 14 rebounds. Good job getting inside, getting those boards. Then you have Justin Smith, 4 points, shot 2 of 10 from the field. Al Durham, 5 points, 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line. Rounding out the starting five, Trace Jackson-Davis had 14, 7 rebounds, and then Devontae Green had 11 points on 5-11 from the field. Take a look at the bench. We spoke about Armaan Franklin earlier. You had Jerome Hunter with 10 minutes, 2 points. Demezie Anderson, 4 minutes and 0 points. Then you have Rob Phinisee with 15 minutes and 0 points on 0 of 6 shooting. Now, Phinisee is still coming back, limited practice. Okay, it's going to take time for him to get put back in his role on offense. He's coming off the bench. But guys like Durham, guys like Justin Smith, no, you can't have that. If you're in the top 5, you need scoring, hands down, from all members of your starting 5. Joey Brunk, Trace Jackson-Davis, they did their stuff that they needed to help Indiana get the victory. However, other guys on the bench, it came nothing. Deron Davis played 1 minute, had 0 points, and had 2 fouls. He picked up 2 early ones as soon as he went in, and that was all she wrote for Deron on the night. And going back to blowing the lead, it's just what typical Indiana basketball we've seen throughout these last few games. Teams not finishing, and they're letting teams get back into the game. I'm sure Archie Miller was not happy in the huddles at timeouts. That was probably a given. But from what I understand, it's hard to win in college basketball. Archie Miller says that all the time at the end of very close games. He's very adamant about that. However, you cannot blow a 17-point lead. You cannot blow any lead on a regular basis and expect to get to the tournament. Indiana starts Big Ten play at the New Year, January 4th at Maryland. The Big Ten Conference is going to be crazy. Everybody's, except for Michigan State, it's 1-1 already on the season. Road games are going to be hard to win. No matter what lead you have, whether it's 1, 5, 15 to 20, you've got to keep your you got to keep your lead no matter what. And yes, guys, we're not gelling together. Chemistry's kind of looks like it's up in the air with guys getting in and out of the lineups. But I think I might have just been overreacting there, but I think Archie's going to get the guys figured out. Rob Phinesee's going to come back. He's the floor general. He's going to be able to get the offense going, I think. And that way guys like Devontae Green, Al Durham, they don't have to take that point guard role. They can worry about scoring, playing good defense. And one thing to note about Al Durham, his play on Saturday, I spoke how he didn't really do much. One thing I did like, though, when Notre Dame was in the zone, he was attacking it, driving, getting the ball inside, which against a 2-3 zone, you're supposed to get the ball in the high post, move the ball around, find the gaps. So that was the one bright spot I saw at Al Durham. But no matter who's on the floor, you should not blow a 17-point lead. I don't care who you're playing. You need to impose your will, put your foot down on an opponent's throat, and not let them come back into this game. Now, I know I'm being direct about this, but I will give Indiana the credit. They did come back. They took the lead late thanks to Armaan Franklin, and they were able to get out of the Crossroads with another victory and improve to 11-1 on the season. Now, speaking of that 11-1 record, transitioning here to the season thus far, Indiana's had a fairly decent season. Kind of similar to last year before things derailed. So, Indiana fans, in the back of your mind, just keep that on approach. Injuries derailed the team last year. They lost so many games and eventually got out of NCAA tournament contention thanks to the losing streak they had. Now, their one loss in the season came against Wisconsin, lost by 20 points up at the Kohl Center in a place they usually never win at. And that was their really only slip-up. They defeated UConn. They defeated Nebraska. Were able to grind those wins out, grind the Notre Dame game out. And they have some good quality wins early on. They beat Florida State when they were ranked 17th in the nation. You have a neutral court win against both UConn and Notre Dame. And you got a potential for a good win this weekend against Arkansas. Heading into the contest, Arkansas is ranked 37th in KenPom. And Indiana is ranked 34th. So it's going to be a good matchup this weekend. But this is another chance for Indiana to get a good win, because this is the final game before the Big Ten season starts back up. And currently, Michigan State's sitting mighty high at 2-0 in the conference, thanks to Northwestern not being able to beat them. If you look at Indiana's Big Ten schedule after the new year, you have at Maryland, who's currently ranked 13th right now in the nation, home against Northwestern, home against Ohio State, at Rutgers, and a rematch at Nebraska, finishing off halfway through January. So, all those are winnable games. It's college basketball. Evansville beat Kentucky. Minnesota knocked off Ohio State. Anything's possible in college basketball. If you can go into Maryland at 12-1 on the season, with your only loss being Wisconsin, you're setting yourself up good for the end of the season. If you don't let any minor slip-ups get in your way of achieving the 20-win mark, which is, I'm sure, what everybody's wanting Indiana to get to right now, because that seems to be the number to hit when it comes to tournament selection in March. So, Indiana's had a good season. They had the slip-up, like I said. The problem I have with the schedule is you have the 7 first games to start the season were against teams very low in rankings. Louisiana Tech was a decent opponent. South Dakota State was too. I'll give them that. But all those games were at home. The first true test was Florida State. Indiana beat them pretty handily. Then you go on the road to Wisconsin to Saturday, December 7th. A month into the season is your first road game. Now, I don't think that should have happened. I'm not in charge of scheduling. Obviously, I'm not Fred Glass. I'm not Archie Miller. So, I understand wanting to get games in at home, get a good 7-0 cushion to start before you get into the meat of your schedule. But I feel like some tests early on would have really helped the Hoosiers. I'm not saying it would have been able to get them a victory in Wisconsin, but I think they could have went to Wisconsin better suited than what they did. But, once again, I'm not Fred Glass or Archie Miller. I don't control the scheduling. Archie and Fred must have did it for a reason, so that's that. Now, transitioning to our final topic of the day, Arkansas Razorbacks coming into town Sunday night, 6 p.m. I'll be in attendance, covering that game for Indiana HQ. It's going to be a good game. I really do believe Indiana's coming in 11-1 on the season. Arkansas is 10-1. I believe they've only played 2 road games this season. Yep, they played 2 road games, defeated Georgia Tech by 1 on the road, and then lost to Western Kentucky by 7. So, at Indiana is their 3rd road game of the season. They currently split the 2 games prior, and all their other games have been at home or neutral. So, their first true road test, Indiana gets another solid opponent at home that could help them out tournament resume if they can get a win. I'll just be giving a light preview of the game. Check out Indiana HQ once again. We have an extensive Arkansas preview on there. Just some names to throw out there early on. Mason Jones is their leading scorer, 19.6 per game. Plays the third most minutes on the team at 32 minutes a game. Shooting 49% from the field, 32% from behind the arc, and 93% from the free throw line. Isaiah Joe and Jimmy Witt Jr. round out the majority of Arkansas's scoring after Jones. Those two are combining for 30.9 points per game. Arkansas themselves, they average 75.1 per game, shooting 45% from the field and under 30% from the three-point line at 29.7. Don't shoot a lot of threes that well. Rebounding, Arkansas doesn't have a lot of size underneath. Majority of their guys, their tallest guys are about 6'8", 6'9". They have one 7'3" guy, but he doesn't play. So based off those numbers, Indiana does have size on the inside with Trace Jackson-Davis, Joey Brunk, Deron Davis if he comes off the bench again. So that's the one matchup Indiana's going to have success in. obviously, getting those guys inside, feeding Trace Jackson, letting the young freshman go to work. Actually, he's currently leading the Hoosiers in points. He's currently sitting at 15 points per game, and also the Hoosiers' leading rebounder at 8.9 rebounds per game. So, with the size differential, Indiana's got to get looks in the paint. That's the number one goal. You have to get looks in the paint. Archie Miller's been preaching all year inside. They've been showing that. They've had success so far this season. However, with Arkansas's lack of size, they do make up for in defense as they hold opponents to 21.7% behind the arc, which is the best in the country, and also force opponents to shoot 41.6% from the field for sixth in the nation. So, they're going to force you to take tough shots. They're going to get after you on defense. So, Indiana's got to come out firing on all cylinders like they did against Florida State, like they did against Notre Dame, but they have to keep that going. No matter what, if they get up by 10, 15 points, you have to keep that lead. It's crucial. 6 p.m. tip-off. You don't know what the crowd's going to be like because students are out of town still on semester break. But no excuses. It's a night game. You get to go back home, play in Assembly Hall in front of your fans, and get one more quality win before you go against a ruthless Big Ten play. So, keys for the game, going to be attack inside like Indiana's done all season. I feel like they're not going to have a problem with that. I expect Trace Jackson Davis to have a good game. Joey Brunk's probably going to continue his rebounding success like he did against Notre Dame. See if he can maybe get a double-double. Was 1 point shy of a double-double against Notre Dame. Didn't get it. I was ready to tweet about it, too. I had everything up on my laptop, had the tweet typed out and everything. But, man, Joey couldn't get a layup or couldn't get the free throw to go. Oh, well, there's next game. So, battle it inside. Use your size. And then, if Arkansas starts to double, okay, kick it out. Devontae Green, Al Durham, Justin Smith even, if he's absolutely wide open. I mean, no one within 10 feet of him. Hit a three, hit a mid-range jumper. Okay, then once they go back outside, kick the ball back inside again. Simple as that. For the Hoosiers on defense, don't let Arkansas beat you. Okay, keep up the pressure. Hands up. Stutter stepping on your closeouts. Don't get backdoored. Don't let Arkansas beat you by forcing you out of your game. Keep guys in front of you. Contest all shots. Get defensive rebounds. And then go the other way on offense with Trace Jackson Davis and Joey Brunk getting inside to score. That's it. That's the keys. I believe Indiana will win this game. I'm expecting a close game, like most of the recent games have been for the Hoosiers. I'm expecting them to pull it out, and they're going to go into Maryland with a 12-1 record and a gut-wrenching Big Ten schedule to play through. That'll wrap it up for the first ever edition of The Rude Awakening. Shout out to the Hoosier Sound host Noah Freeman for providing the music for the show. I will be back next week with another edition of The Rude Awakening. But until then, thank you for listening, Hoosier Nation, and I'll see you next time.